Hey, welcome to Bionic Business, the podcast for online entrepreneurs ready to leverage AI and agents to move the needle and scale revenue and grow profits. There is a massive difference between the entrepreneurs winning with AI right now and those who are getting left behind. That difference is not luck. It is not who has the fanciest tool. It is not chasing hype, and is definitely not about mega prompts. The key difference is strategy. Knowing what to do, what to skip, and staying ahead. Let's get into it. Last episode, I told you that the systems driving real results are not built on prompts. They are built on your context and your data with a loop that learns and improves. So I want to talk you through and show you what those systems actually look like under the hood. Because there is a specific architecture that makes it all work, and it starts with understanding the difference between automations and agents. At this point, most online businesses, have figured out some piece of AI inside an automation, right? Maybe you got Zaps running, make scenarios, workflows in N8N. Maybe you're using Gumloop, Lindy, Relay, any of the many AI automations or just plain automation platforms that exist. And that's useful. You got automations that takes you from manual work to manual work happening faster, right? But there's usually a ceiling. Automations can only get you that far. Even if you have an automation flow with like 20 steps and you have AI baked into it, there's a ceiling. And mainly that's because automations are predetermined. If X happens, then do Y, which means that you have to anticipate every scenario in advance and build a path for it. You have to deal with conditions, if-then statements, error handling, edge cases, and these automations tend to break or they do the wrong thing. It happens pretty often. Most critically, though, they don't learn. The Zap you built 6 months ago runs exactly the same way today, even if your business has changed. So automations won't get you from faster to autonomous. That requires something different. Let me be specific about what an agent is, because the word is getting thrown around constantly right now, and most people are using it loosely, and everyone's confused, right? An agent is not a chatbot. It is not a fancy prompt. It is not an automation with AI attached to it. An agent is an autonomous system that can understand a goal, reason about how to achieve it, make decisions when things don't go as planned, take actions across multiple systems, and learn from what happens. The key difference is that automations follow rules, agents make judgments. So when you set up a Zap or an automation workflow that says, when a new lead comes in, send this email, that's an automation, right? It does exactly what you told it every time, regardless of context. But an agent looks at that lead and can think, so to speak, is this a good fit? What do I know about this company or this contact record? What's the best way to reach out based on what has worked before? Should I even reach out, or should I flag this for a human being? Right? So an agent can analyze, understand, reason, make a plan, make decisions, and then also take action. It decides and acts. At this point, you've probably seen agent frameworks like OpenClaw blowing up, right? It started as Claude became Multibot, and now it's OpenClaw. You got a ton of other agent frameworks, and they've exploded onto the scene in the past few months alone. They've gone from, barely existing to hundreds and thousands of GitHub stars, and everyone is posting about it, people making videos about it. And that's because these are agents that can manage your email, search files, run commands, control your calendar, edit files, do all kinds of stuff inside platforms for you. You basically text it what you want done through Slack, WhatsApp, or Telegram, and then the agent figures out how to do it. You don't have to build a spaghetti collection of workflows and automations, right? You can just plug it into things and then it'll figure it out. So that's why people are excited about this, because it is AI, but with hands. It doesn't just tell you what to do, it does it, right? So the model doesn't just say, hey, that's a great idea, you should do XYZ. It's like you're talking to ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT not only tells you what a great idea is, it then goes out and takes action, right? So that's the difference between an assistant that gives advice, like a large language model, and an employee, like an agent, that handles the task itself. So like I said, OpenClaw is just one example, but the whole space is huge, right? Let me give you just a quick tour so you understand what's out there, and so you also understand why it's moving so fast. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, released Claude Agent SDK, and they've basically realized that the same architecture that powers coding agents can power any kind of agent, like knowledge work. So finance agents, research agents, customer support agents, personal assistants, they all share a very same and fundamental architecture, so that you can give these agents tools that read files, run commands, edit documents, search the web, do research, analysis, take action inside marketing platform, email platforms, ad platforms. It can do all of it, right? Same infrastructure. Google has the Agent Development Kit, ADK. It's model agnostic, so you can use it with Gemini or other models. And this one is designed for multi-agent systems where you have a specialized agents working together in a hierarchy, okay? And then you have a ton of other open source frameworks that have been maturing: CrewAI, LangGraph, LangChain, AutoGen. It's so many of them. And you really just define agents with specific roles, like a researcher and a writer, and then they can collaborate on tasks. And, for no code or low code options, you got Lindy, Gumloop, and they let you build agent systems without writing any code. Okay. So you can use them without being technical. You could have your team learn these tools, and so that a lot of their work that they do can be handled by agents. And I'm not saying this so that you fire them. I don't want you to fire a single person. It's better for your business if your team members are educated and learn how to leverage these tools to become more effective than it is for you to fire them and replace them with agents. Like, that's not the point. The point is that the infrastructure for building agents is now mature and accessible enough that you, without being technical, can get all the benefits from it. A year ago, this stuff was experimental, but now it's production ready, and it has been for several months. Okay? So I want to be clear. I'm not saying throw out your automations. They still have a role. Think of it this way instead. Agents are like the brain, and automations are like hands. So an agent decides what should happen, and an automation executes the mechanical action. Like, you could have an agent that's monitoring your ad performance and then decides, for example, that, hey, we need to pause this campaign because the inventory is running low and ROAS dropped below threshold. And then the automation actually pauses the ads in Meta or Google, right? So the agent made a judgment call, and then the automation executed. And you need both. And if you're only building automations, you gotta get your hands on an agent brain, right? You have to start using agents, because we're also quickly getting to the point where agents are sophisticated enough that they don't need you to build long, massive automation workflows. They just need their hands on knowledge bases, tools, and other systems, and they can kind of figure a lot of it out. So you want to have a system that can do things and think things. So let me just really quickly cover how agents coordinate to create the kind of systems that I've been talking about throughout this podcast and for several years now. So most businesses have one piece of AI working. Maybe it's generating content or automating a task or producing ads or some kind of analysis. And, people using Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, all these other tools, N8N, Gumloop, basic stuff, which is good. And they think that one piece is going to help them scale, and it won't. Let me tell you why. Let's say a business is using AI to generate 100 fresh emails per week for their campaigns. That's useful. At least they're not running stale copy, right? You refresh your email copy and it goes out and it gets results. But you're not going to see dramatic improvement in results because you've only built one piece. You got AI that's producing stuff, but you don't have an AI that's researching what's working, analyzing performance, or feeding back those learnings into the next batch. So it's like a production without a loop. And production without a loop does not compound. So a full loop system with agents would be something like this. First, you got research agents. It could be one agent, and this one pulls data continuously. What are competitors doing? What's happening in our market? What signals are emerging? It monitors, gathers, and synthesizes intelligence so that your system is always working with current information. You got production agents. This one creates outputs informed by what the research agent found. Emails, ads, content, whatever the use case is not generating stuff from generic training data, like if you were just prompting ChatGPT. It is generating new stuff from your context, your performance history, your current market intelligence. Then you got an analysis agent. This one watches what happens after production goes live. What's performing? What is not performing? What are the patterns? It identifies signals that humans would miss because it's processing everything, not just sampling. And then you can have something like an iteration agent. This one closes the loop. It takes what the analysis agent learned and feeds it back into the next production cycle so that you're doubling down on what's working and killing off what's not working. And then the approach is adjusted based on real results. Do you see the difference here? These agents are coordinating. The loop runs continuously, and each cycle, the agent system gets smarter. And automation doesn't really do this on its own, and it's complicated to set it up and get it right. But a team of agents, on the other hand, with some automations attached to it, now you've got a compounding system. This is the step and the piece that most online entrepreneurs miss. An automation can generate 100 emails this week, and they have the same quality maybe that the 100 emails that it generated the past week, and there's no improvement built in. But an agent system can generate 100 emails this week, analyze what worked, learn from it, and then generate better emails next week. Do you see that? There's a loop that creates compounding improvement. And after a month, I don't know, maybe you're faster at making emails, but the point is not speed. The point is quality. You're getting better outputs. After 3 months, your competitors aren't going to be able to figure out what you're doing. And after 6 months, you're building a genuine moat, an unfair advantage. It's not because you have a secret tool. It's not because you have a prompt that no one else has, but it's because your agent system has 6 months of learning and improving that your competitors don't have. So this architecture that I described kind of works across your entire business. It's not specific to emails or ads. Look at sales. You could have a research agent identifying and qualifying prospects, enriching data, and then you have another agent personalizing the outreach based on that research, and an analysis agent that tracks responses, identifies what messaging converts, and an iteration agent that refines the approach based on what actually closes deals, right? Instead of guesses or spending days or weeks analyzing data yourself. Content is obvious, right? You can have an agent that monitors trends, tracks what's resonating in your space. A production agent does the content informed by the research, analysis watches engagement, identifying top performers, and then another agent feeds that learning back into the constant strategy. So there's recursive improvement over and over again. Operations, customer service, right? You see what I'm saying? You have agents monitoring metrics, flagging anomalies. Other agents are generating reports, creating documentation. Other agents are identifying bottlenecks in your SOPs and in how you try to do things and get things done. And then an iteration agent suggests and implements process improvements. Do you see all that? Like, it's about pulling history, identifying patterns, handling stuff, passing things back and forth between agents. It's the same pattern everywhere. Research, production, analysis, iteration are the largest categories, and there are many other uses of agents, right? But the point is that these are agents coordinating to create a full system that learns and improves. Okay? So I'm not talking about this in theory. I've run multiple projects, a couple of different businesses, and working with clients on agent systems for several years now. Like e-commerce stores on Shopify that are running, I don't know, maybe 70 to 80% autonomously. You got orders coming in, inventory managed, customer service handled, ads optimized. It's all through coordinating agents and not, automations only. Newsletter businesses in different verticals, luxury retails, compliance, insurance, the agents handle research, content production, subscriber management. Like the whole operation is systemized end to end. Software, same thing. Agents can do the core work. For example, I built an insurance compliance checker that's basically an obsessively detail-oriented compliance agent or a team of agents. It helps companies check policies against what they should be, identifies gaps, does the calculations. So we're far beyond chatbots answering questions. What we have now are agents doing specialized, valuable work in specific niches. And on the consulting side, I act as a fractional chief AI officer for companies, and I'm able to serve multiple clients without burning out or loss of quality in work because my agents are handling anything from research, analysis, and preparation. So when I show up to clients, I'm not starting from scratch. And if I have projects, they're not out of nowhere. I've already had agents working around the clock to pull relevant data, identify patterns, and prepping the strategic options. I'm doing the high leverage thinking and decision making, the imagination part, the vision part, and the agents handle a lot of the grunt work. So when I tell you full loop agent systems work, is because I'm running them across different businesses and different projects. So when I tell you something doesn't work, is because I've tried it and watched it fail, and it fails spectacularly. A lot of stuff that I do just doesn't work, but then a bunch of stuff does work. It's kind of how it is. So now you understand the architecture, right? Agents that reason and decide, automations that execute, full loops that learn and compound. So what does this all mean for you and for your team? Well, most people I work with don't want to fire their team and replace them with bots. And in fact, you should not do that. You don't have to do that. Instead, the better choice is to make your existing team become more effective and more efficient in using all these AI systems, tools, and agents. That way you can scale revenue without scaling headcount proportionally. So that's kind of what we're going to cover in the next couple episodes, how to improve your margins by making your team more efficient with agents. And after that, I'll talk you through more about other agents and other things that I think you as an online entrepreneur need to be paying attention to and need to get your hands on and have this stuff integrated and implemented inside your business. Cool? So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening. If you want to stay ahead of what's happening in AI and agents and know what to pay attention to and applying it all to your business before your competitors figure it out, you got to subscribe to the Bionic Business newsletter. I'm in the trenches every day exploring, testing, and implementing this for my own projects and for real businesses. I only share what works and tell you what doesn't. Links in the show notes, or go to bionicbusiness.com and sign up. If you have questions or something landed differently for you, just send me a message. I read them all. See you in the next episode.